Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're not just sifting through facts, we're stepping directly into a vibrant, ancient world, one crafted by master storyteller, author Kalki.
That's right.
Our mission today, really, is to journey through a fascinating chapter from his huge work, Ponniyin Selvan. We'll unpack how a seemingly small roadside thing can spiral into this grand adventure, filled with unexpected friendships, deep spiritual revelations, and even a secret mission, one that could change everything.
Indeed. And Kalki's genius, it really lies in weaving together these individual character journeys with, the grand tapestry of history and culture. It's seamless.
It really is.
This specific chapter, Vinnagara Temple, a divine encounter and a fateful task, it gives you a perfect little window into his narrative style. It shows how personal encounters can just ripple outwards, affecting destiny. You'll see how quickly the mundane, the everyday, transforms into something mystical, and how just a chance meeting can completely alter a hero's path, repelling him into, a much larger political and spiritual drama.
It sounds incredible.
It's a remarkable example, really, of how a master storyteller can take a simple idea and just layer it with meaning and intrigue.
Okay, then, let's unpack this intricate narrative. Let's start at the beginning. We begin our deep dive by placing ourselves on this, bustling roadside, right alongside our hero, Valavarayan Vandiyathevan. Can you picture the scene? The air's thick with the murmur of this festive crowd. You hear the thud of elephants, the distant gleam of standards. The whole entourage of the Paslavor lord is passing by. It's a powerful chieftain, right?
Very powerful, very influential. And for our hero, Vandiyathevan, it's just a moment of casual observation. He's a traveler, just taking in the sights, maybe thinking about his next move.
Yeah, just watching the world go by.
And what's immediately striking in this opening scene is how Kalki uses it to set up a key dynamic.
Yeah.
You have Vandiyathevan, this lone traveler, observing the grand procession from a slight distance. He's almost a bystander to the power on display.
Right, he's a bit separate.
Exactly. His position a little apart and his horse standing a bit away too. It subtly hints at his independent spirit, maybe even his role as an outsider looking in.
Okay.
And then, brilliantly, his horse, almost like an extension of his own spirited character, becomes the unlikely catalyst for everything that follows. It shifts the whole thing from him just watching to him being right in the middle of it.
The horse incident.
It's a classic Kalki move, using a seemingly tiny detail to kick off this whole grand sequence of events.
What a catalyst it turns out to be.
Yeah.
So this impressive procession is winding past, and some of the Paslavor men, kind of lagging at the end, they spot Vandiyathevan's horse standing there quietly. It starts as just casual mischief, almost like a childish prank, doesn't it? But it sparks this chain of really significant events. So tell us, how do these guys first interact with the animal? What's their immediate kind of crude approach?
Oh, their character is immediately laid bare, isn't it? It's quite revealing. One of them, with absolutely zero respect, just dismisses the horse, calls it a mule, like it's some lowly beast unworthy of being there.
Just like that.
Yeah. Then another one tries to correct him, but gets it wrong too, saying, "Don't say mule, say mare," which sparks this ridiculous, petty argument about words. It tells you a lot about them.
Right, their priorities are all skewed.
Exactly. And then a third guy, clearly just wanting a laugh, jumps in with, "Set the semantic research aside. First of all, find out if it is a donkey or a mule."
Oh, boy.
This casual banter, it's just full of insults, zero respect for the animal, just this air of boorishness. It immediately highlights how brash and disrespectful these Paslavor retainers are. They see the world, even living things, as just objects for their own amusement.
A stark contrast to Vandiyathevan's quiet dignity, as you say.
A complete contrast.
Then they try to actually mount it, don't they? And the horse, showing some real smarts, refuses. What happens then? And what's that interesting historical comment they throw in?
Yes, exactly. One man, looking for some crude fun, goes up to the horse, says something like, "Let's check it out," and tries to jump on its back. But the horse, in a moment that really shows its intelligence and loyalty, instantly knows this was not its master. It absolutely refused to let him mount, making its allegiance clear.
Good horse.
Right. So frustrated by this, the man makes this sneering, historically loaded comment. He says, "Hey, this is a troublesome horse. It will not let me mount. Perhaps only a prince of well-established lineage can ride it. Well, then Tanjora Mutharaya will have to come back."
Ooh, that's pointed.
And his friends just burst out laughing, finding it hilarious. This jibe about Tanjora Mutharaya's dynasty, which vanished 100 years before, replaced by the Chola tiger symbol over Tanjore, It subtly but powerfully brings in crucial historical context.
Right, it reminds you this isn't just a story. It's set against real political shifts.
Precisely. It reminds you, the listener, that this world is steeped in history, dynastic changes, shifting power, old rivalries, new allegiances. They're always there under the surface.
So they're clearly enjoying themselves, totally oblivious. Their arrogance seems boundless. And this is where Thandavaraya steps in. He escalates things further.
This is exactly where their arrogance goes from just being rude to, well, being an outright public danger. Another man, Vandiyathevan, takes the challenge of the troublesome horse. His buddy eggs him on, calling it a pesky horse, questioning if it's even real or maybe a dummy dance horse.
Right.
So Vandiyathevan says, okay, let's examine it, and just goes and twists the horse's tail. A cruel, thoughtless act.
Oh, no.
And the immediate consequence is pure chaos. The proud horse, understandably provoked, reacts instinctively. It kicks its hind legs, starts running amok, and the same men who started to just mock it further, shouting, hey, the mule is running away, it really is a mare, and chase it, yelling, woo, woo, right into the crowd.
And the innocent crowd, just caught in the middle, they pay the price for this recklessness, don't they? Sounds like utter pandemonium.
They absolutely do. The horse, totally out of control now, is running helter-skelter amidst the festive crowd. People are scrambling, trying to get away. Panic spreads.
Oh, awful.
Despite their efforts, some of them are kicked down, injured. This chaos, it just unfolds within a few seconds right in front of Vandiyathevan. It powerfully underscores the sheer arrogance, the total disregard for public safety by these Paslevor men.
They just don't care.
Not at all. And for Vandiyathevan watching this, it's not just annoying, it's a direct challenge to his sense of justice, his honor. His face apparently shows piercing outrage.
But he holds back.
For a moment, yes, he shows surprising, maybe calculated restraint. Grits his teeth, stays patient. He knows he's outnumbered. But this moment, it definitely plants a seed. A desire for future payback against these arrogant men of Paslevor.
A silent vow.
You know it. Kalki plants that seed so well. You, the listener, know this isn't over. This insult won't just slide.
Okay, so after all that chaos finally settles down a bit, Vandiyathevan manages to find his horse. Describe their reunion. It's quite a tender moment, isn't it? A real contrast to the mayhem.
It truly is. The narrative shifts pace here, allowing for this quiet connection. Vandiyathevan, knowing his horse well, calmly walks in the direction it fled, knowing it would stop eventually.
Right.
He finds it in a clearing near some tamarind trees, a serene spot. The horse isn't wild anymore. It's standing there with this profoundly saddened expression, almost like a wronged child. And as Vandiyathevan approaches, the horse neighs. Kalki uses this beautiful description saying, the speechless creature seemed to say, why did you part from me and subject me to these travails?
Wow, that really gives the horse personality.
It deepens their bond instantly. It makes the horse almost a character itself.
Mm-hmm.
He quiets it, pats its back gently, reassures it, then leads it back to the road.
And how does the crowd react when they return?
Well, some people are understandably upset, asking, Thambi, why did you bring this unruly horse here? See how it has kicked us. But others, thankfully, have more perspective. They say things like, what will this young man do? What could the horse have done? We have to blame those Paslevor rogues for this mishap.
So public opinion is already against the Paslevor guys.
Exactly. It shows this widespread disapproval of their heavy-handedness, shifting the blame correctly.
Okay, so it's at this precise moment, right? The tension is still hanging in the air. The dust is settling, and this new, rather intriguing figure enters the scene, the Vaishnava, Avarkayanampi.
Mm-hmm. And he's anything but subtle.
Right. How does he first approach Vandiyathevan, and what's Vandiyathevan's immediate reaction? He's not exactly thrilled, is he?
Not at all. Avarkayanampi, who clearly saw the whole thing unfold, including Vandiyathevan's reaction, immediately figures the horse belongs to our hero. He doesn't waste time on small talk, jumps straight in with this probing, almost combative tone. He points out pretty bluntly Vandiyathevan's seeming lack of valor against the Paslevor men, asks him, Thambi, did you see the work of those Paslevor brutes? What happened to the boldness that you showed in front of me? Could you not show your valor against them?
Ouch. That's direct.
Very direct. Sets this immediate challenging tone. And Vandiyathevan, he's instantly annoyed. This unsolicited commentary from a stranger. It's an unwelcome intrusion, a jab at his honor. He frowns, thinks to himself, what nuisance is this? It seems as if this fellow will not let go.
Yeah, you could feel his irritation.
He sees Avarkayanampi as just persistent and irritating, like a fly he can't swat away. Definitely not someone he wants to talk to right now.
And Nampi keeps pushing, right? His questioning is quite direct, almost unnervingly so, about where Vandiyathevan is going. How does that conversation unfold? And what crucial bit of info does the Vaishnava reveal that totally surprises Vandiyathevan?
The conversation is this rapid-fire, almost playful back and forth. It really establishes their personalities quickly. Nampi starts, "Thambi, which way are you going?"
And Vandiyathevan tries to dodge it.
Completely. Being naturally secretive, he gives this convoluted answer about going a little ways west and then a bit to the south, then go around east to travel southwest, trying to throw him off.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right. Karkanambi just cuts straight through it. Says humorously, "I am not asking all that. I meant, where do you plan to stay tonight?"
Okay.
Vandiyathevan, still guarded, asks, "Why do you ask?" And then the Vaishnava drops the bombshell, the thing that shatters Vandiyathevan's attempt at secrecy. He just casually says, "Perhaps if you are planning to stay at the fort of Kadambur Sambhavaraya, I have an assignment to be done there."
Whoa! How did he know?
Exactly. Vandiyathevan exclaims, "What? Do you know magic or witchcraft? How did you know that I was going to Kadambur Palace?" It totally catches him off guard.
So this dialogue really shows Vandiyathevan as guarded and maybe a bit paranoid now, and Nampi seems almost all-knowing.
Precisely. Astute, well-informed. Vandiyathevan's left wondering about his mysterious abilities. It's a clever twist by Kalki, undermining Vandiyathevan's secrecy and establishing Nampi as someone with hidden depths right away.
It certainly makes Nampi seem quite powerful, doesn't it? Almost like he has some mystical insight.
Yeah.
But then he gives a very practical, almost mundane explanation for how he knew. What's that? And how does it affect Vandiyathevan's thinking about staying at Kadambur? He was a bit unsure before, right?
Yeah, he quickly brings it back down to earth, dispels any magic talk with sharp observation. He calmly explains what is so surprising about it. Tonight, several dignitaries from various places are going there. Lord Pasluvor and his retainers are also going there.
Okay. Simple logistics.
Exactly. He clarifies further, noting, "The elephant, the horses, liveried footmen, and other honors were from Kadambur. They came to receive Lord Pasluvor. All such protocols are always observed wherever he goes." So his knowledge isn't supernatural, it's just gleaned from watching travel patterns, diplomatic courtesies, the movement of important people.
That makes sense. And it reinforces Kadambur as the place to be that night.
Absolutely. A major political and social hub. And Vandiyathevan, hearing this, becomes really thoughtful. The chance to stay in the same place as the famous Lord Pasluvor, maybe even meet him, that's tempting. Strategically useful for his mission, whatever it is. But the bitter memory of those arrogant retainers, how they treated his horse, the crowd, it still rankled bitterly. He's torn.
That internal conflict again.
Yes. Kalki shows him weighing ambition and practicality against this personal insult, his sense of honor. It's a very human dilemma, makes him relatable.
So the destination's revealed. The mystery of how Nampi knew is solved. But then he takes his persistence up a notch. Ask Vandiyathevan for a favor. What's this audacious initial request? And what entertainments does he, rather surprisingly for a Vaishnava ascetic, hope to see at Kadambur?
He certainly does have layers. This is where his character gets really intriguing. In a begging voice, which is surprising for someone so sharp, he asks, "Thambi, will you do me a favor?"
And Vandiyathevan's probably thinking, oh no, what now?
Pretty much. He asks how he could possibly help, saying he's new to these parts. And then the Vaishnava makes his truly bold request. "Take me along to Kadambur Fort tonight."
Just like that.
Yep. Even suggests Vandiyathevan could pretend he's his servant to get him in, which Vandiyathevan immediately shoots down as deception and fraud, saying no one would believe it, and adding proudly that he doesn't need a servant like you.
But Nampi, being pragmatic, quickly clarifies his motives, right? He's not just looking for a way in or a religious debate. What does he say he really wants to experience there?
Yes, he quickly clarifies, showing his interests are surprisingly broad for someone you might think is purely focused on religion. He dismisses the idea of arguments, saying, no, did you think that getting into arguments was my only occupation?
Okay, fair enough.
And then he reveals his true desire. Tonight there will be a lavish banquet at Kadambur. After the feasting, there will be several entertainments. Music, pantomimes, miracle plays, gypsy dancers, and mystic oracles. I wish to see the gypsy dance and hear the oracle.
Wow. Music, pantomimes, gypsy dancers, oracles. That paints quite a picture of palace life back then.
Doesn't it? It adds immense richness to the historical setting. And it reveals Avarke Nampi as someone with surprising worldly interests. He appreciates the arts, cultural spectacles, not just religious debate. It adds complexity, makes him wonderfully unpredictable.
He's definitely a man of many layers. So Vandiyathevan eventually explains his own invitation to Kadambur, trying to get out of taking this guy along. What is this connection, and how does Avarke Nampi respond, still kind of challenging Vandiyathevan's status?
Vandiyathevan, probably a bit exasperated now, explains he has an invitation of sorts. He clarifies that Kandamaran, the son of Lord Samburaya, the lord of Kadambur, is his close friend and has invited me several times to come and stay at his palace if I come to these parts.
Okay, so it's a personal connection, not a formal state invitation.
Exactly. It shows Vandiyathevan's network, but also his somewhat informal status. He's a friend of the sun, not an official guest. And Avarke Nampi's response is quite dismissive, almost scoffing. Is that all? Then even your situation is kind of doubtful tonight.
Ooh, implying his invitation might not be good enough.
Precisely. Subtly challenging his standing, suggesting a casual invite might not cut it with Lord Pazluvor there. This back and forth builds their dynamic annoyance on Vandiyathevan's part, but maybe a grudging respect for the Vaishnava's directness. Kalki subtly shows the nuances of social hierarchy.
Despite Vandiyathevan pushing back, Avarke Nampi just keeps following him, right? Like a shadow. This persistence leads to a change of plans, a detour. Where does Avarke Nampi say he's going now, and what makes Vandiyathevan decide to join him, surprisingly?
They walk in silence for a bit, Vandiyathevan clearly fuming. He finally asks, "Why are you still following me?" And Avarke Nampi cheekily retorts, "I was about to ask you the same question. Why are you following me? Why don't you go your own way?"
Turning it around.
Vandiyathevan admits he's unsure of the path, saying it's because of not knowing which way to go. Then Avarke Nampi declares his immediate plan. "No, you said you cannot take me there. I am going to the Vinnagara Temple."
The Vinnagara Temple. And Vandiyathevan's reaction.
It's unexpected. He asks, almost intrigued, to the presence of the deity Vinnagara Perumal. And when Avarke Nampi confirms, Vandiyathevan says, surprisingly, "I too would like to go to that temple and worship that Perumal."
That feels like a significant moment, doesn't it? Given his earlier annoyance and cynicism about this guy, choosing to go to a Vishnu temple with him, it's a turning point.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Even Avarke Nampi is surprised, commenting, "I thought that you would perhaps not come to a Vishnu temple." This detour is crucial, not just for the plot, but for Vandiyathevan's character. It shows his curiosity overriding his irritation, maybe a shift in his outlook, an openness.
Or maybe just wanting to see this famous temple.
Could be. Whatever the reason, it introduces the Vinnagara Temple, setting the stage for the historical and spiritual insights that follow. It elevates the story beyond just travel. And mentioning the respected priest, Eshwara Munigal, adds to the temple's significance.
Right, it gives it gravitas.
It's a beautifully handled pivot by Kalki, leading our hero to an unexpected but deeply meaningful encounter that will really shape what happens next.
Okay, before we step inside the Vinnagara Temple with them, let's delve into its history. It's more than just a building, it's a monument to an era, you said. Who was the king behind its initial inspiration? What were his big achievements?
The temple owes its existence to Parantaka Chola, a truly huge figure in Chola history. He was the grandson of Vijayala Chola, who really started consolidating the dynasty.
Okay.
Parantaka held these grand titles like Conqueror of Madurai and Lanka, showing his military power, his reach. He's famous for laying the foundations of the Chola Empire, making them dominant. And beyond war, he was known for piety too, famously covering the roof of the temple at Chidambaram with gold.
Wow, covering it in gold.
Yes, a huge act of patronage. And crucially, he also bore the name Veera Narayana, meaning brave Narayana, which, as we'll see, is key to the temple's identity. His reign was a time of massive consolidation and expansion.
It's fascinating how military strategy could lead to such a massive public works project, like a temple and a lake. Tell us how Parantaka Cholasayo's military planning directly resulted in the Veera Narayana Lake and then the temple. It's an incredible story of ingenuity.
Absolutely, and this is where Kalki blends history and narrative so well. During Parantaka's reign, the powerful Rashtrakutas to the north, based in Manyakeda, think modern Maharashtra were a big threat, a constant worry.
Rivals.
Big rivals. Parantaka wisely anticipated an invasion into Tamil lands. So, with great strategic foresight, he stationed a huge army led by his very capable eldest son, Prince Raja Aditya, in the Thirumunayapati territories north of the Kaveri River, a critical defensive move.
So you have this massive army basically waiting on standby. What did Prince Rajaditya do with them? Just let them sit around?
Not at all. Prince Rajaditya, a brilliant leader himself, saw this huge idle workforce. Instead of letting them get restless, he had an ingenious idea to channel their energy into a major project to benefit the local people. He noticed that vast amounts of floodwater from the Kalidam River were just flowing uselessly into the sea each year. Think about that precious water just lost.
Right. In an agricultural society, that's huge.
Exactly. So wanting to harness this water for irrigation for the community, he mobilized his soldiers. He tasked them with building a huge spreading reservoir, a massive engineering feat for the time. And in honor of his father, he named it the Veera Narayana Lake.
Turning a military camp into a public works project. That's impressive leadership.
It really is. It shows foresight, engineering skill, and transforming a military necessity into a huge public benefit, a holistic approach to governing.
And how did creating this huge lake lead directly to building the Vinnagara Temple? And what's the deeper symbolic meaning behind the name Vinnagara? You said there's more to it.
The lake was just the first step. Once it was established, Prince Raja Idya founded a town on its shores, Veeranarayanapuram, again honoring his father. And it was there, in this new town, that he built the Vinnagara Temple. The name itself, Vinnagara, is deeply significant. It's the Tamil form of the Sanskrit Vishnu Griha, which literally means abode of Vishnu.
The House of Vishnu. But you mentioned a deeper connection between the temple and its placement by the lake. It wasn't just practical.
Absolutely not arbitrary. It was customary then to build Vinnagaras specifically on lake shores. This reflects a profound spiritual connection. The deity Vishnu, or Sri Narayana, is often shown reclining on primeval waters, the cosmic ocean.
Ah, I see.
So building the temple there served not just as a place of worship, but symbolically. It was as if the deity himself was residing there, protecting the crucial reservoir, overseeing the life-giving waters.
A marriage of spiritual belief and practical infrastructure.
Beautifully put. The divine as guardian of vital resources. The temple became the spiritual heart, overseeing this incredible feat of engineering, showing a society that saw the sacred and the practical as deeply intertwined.
Okay, so now we understand the temple's profound history. Let's get back to Vandiyathevan and Avarkaya as they finally step inside. What happens in the Sanctum Sanctorum? How does Avarkaya devotion show itself in this captivating way that changes Vandiyathevan's view?
Inside that sacred space, a profound shift happens. Avarkaya, the guy who seemed so pragmatic, persistent, even mischievous, he just transforms. He starts to sing.
He sings?
Yes, devotional poems. First by Saint Andal, a revered female Vaishnava saint, then by Namazavar, another hugely important figure who famously translated the Vedas into Tamil, making that ancient knowledge accessible to everyone in their own language.
That's significant.
Hugely. And the intensity of his devotion, it's not just audible, it's palpable. Deeply moving. Kalki describes how tears overflowed from his eyes and streamed down his cheeks. This isn't performance, it's a profound, immersive spiritual experience for him. It shows that sincere bhakti, that intense personal devotion.
From the jester to the devout worshiper.
Instantly. A complete transformation.
It sounds incredibly moving.
Yeah.
You mentioned Namazvar's poems. Can you share some of the specific lines Avarkaya sings? Hearing them might really bring that moment to life for us.
Of course. The text gives these beautiful, stirring lines. They're full of spiritual joy, that ecstatic bhakti experience. Praise, praise, praise the Lord. Gone is the curse of this wretched life. There is nothing left here for Lord Yama, who created the hells of despair and death.
Powerful start.
These creatures of the ocean-colored Lord reckoned on this earth the sorrows of these times. See, they have come to worship him, serve him with dance and song.
A call to worship.
We saw things pleasing to the eye. Come, all you worshipers, come adore him. Come here to salvation.
Such conviction.
Follow the path of these souls dear to Lord Madhava. Live on this earth with dance and song of his glory.
Wow. Those are truly potent words, full of hope and spiritual triumph. So what effect does this incredibly moving performance, this raw emotion, have on the pragmatic Vandiyathevan? The guy who was so suspicious just moments before. This must be a real turning point for him.
It absolutely is a key moment for his character. It shows the power of genuine spiritual expression. Vandiyathevan doesn't cry like Avarkrinampi, but he is very moved. You can almost feel his defenses lowering.
His opinion changes.
Crucially, yes. His biased opinions about Avarkrinampi were somewhat transformed. He reaches a new conclusion. This fellow is very devout, he thought. It shows Vandiyathevan's capacity for appreciation, an openness beyond his cynical first impressions. It highlights how shared experiences, especially spiritual ones, can break down barriers and forge new respect. He has depth, receptiveness.
Great character development.
Kalki showing how character evolves through these unexpected encounters.
And it wasn't just Vandiyathevan who was affected, was it? The source mentions others in the temple were also deeply touched.
That's right. The scene really shows the wide impact of these songs. Several others listened with interest. Even the practical temple trustees came to listen, drawn by the power of it.
Even the priest.
The venerable priest, Ashwara Munigal, heard them with tear-laden eyes, mirroring Avarkrinampi's emotion, showing that universal resonance. And perhaps most touchingly, the priest's son, a mere child, stood nearby and listened with rapt attention.
A child captivated.
Exactly. It underscores the universal appeal, the power of these verses across all ages and stations. A beautiful snapshot of shared faith.
The priest's son plays a particularly interesting, almost prophetic role here, doesn't he?
Yeah.
What happens between him, the priest, and Avarkrinampi about Namazvar's poems? It seems like a simple request that leads to something huge.
It's a small interaction with massive implications. Brilliant foreshadowing by Kalki. After Avarkrinampi finishes singing 10 poems, he humbly says, just parts of Namazvar's 1,000+ compositions, the priest's son whispers something to his father. The priest, wiping his own tears, approaches Avarkrinampi and asks, Sir, do you know all 1,000 poems of Gurukul Sadagopa? That's Namazvar.
And Nambi's response.
Humble as ever, which resonates now with Vandiyathevan. He says, I do not have that fortune. I know just a few of his 10-liners.
Right.
It's then that the priest makes his significant request, almost pleading, I entreat you to teach this child all the songs you know.
Teach the child.
This seemingly small request highlights the importance of transmitting knowledge, tradition, especially oral tradition, from one generation to the next. It plants this tiny seed for a future spiritual lineage.
And this is where it gets really fascinating, right? Kalki often gives these glimpses into the future, showing how small events fit into a much bigger picture. It's an amazing technique. So what happens to this child, the priest's son, later on? What grand destiny comes from this humble temple encounter?
This boy with the childish face shining with devotion, who is listening so intently, he grows up to fulfill an incredible destiny. He becomes known as Nadamuni Adigal.
Nadamuni Adigal.
Who would later be recognized as the foremost of Vaishnava teachers, a truly pivotal figure. His devotion, spark right there, leads him on this grand spiritual quest. He travels all the way to Gurukul, Namazvar's hometown.
Wow, dedication.
And there, with immense effort, he would search and collect all 1,000 poems of Namazvar, saving them from potential loss. Not only that, but he would also set them to music, making them accessible and memorable. And then, with his disciples, he'd tirelessly popularize those songs all over the country.
So that moment in the temple literally leads to the preservation and spread of Namazvar's work.
Exactly. It's remarkable historical foresight woven into the story by Kalki, connecting this quiet scene directly to foundational figures of Vaishnavism, showing the continuity of spiritual lineage, a moment of humble learning leading to a spiritual renaissance.
And this incredible spiritual chain, it continues even further, doesn't it? Affecting other great saints. Who else is mentioned in this lineage? And what amazing vision does the great Saint Sri Ramanuja have when he visits this very place?
The legacy, starting with that boy, Nadamuni Adigal, extends beautifully. The source mentions Alavander, Nadamuni Adigal's grandson, who would perform miracles, further cementing the spiritual power of this line.
Okay.
And then much later, the revered Saint Sri Ramanuja himself, a hugely influential Vaishnava thinker and reformer, comes to visit this sacred place. The temple, and crucially, the Vinnagara Lake, the birthplace of these teachers.
And the vision he has there, it's not just appreciating the view, is it? It's something far more symbolic.
You're absolutely right. When Ramanuja arrives, he's amazed by the Vinnagara Lake and its 74 irrigation gates. 74 gates controlling the water flow.
Okay.
This observation isn't just about engineering. It sparks this powerful symbolic analogy for him, a moment of profound spiritual insight. He wishes to establish 74 monastic seats or pitams, centers of learning and devotion, to spread the holy word of Lord Mariana's grace and benevolence to all the populace.
74 seats, mirroring the 74 gates.
Exactly. He explicitly sees these spiritual centers distributing divine knowledge in the same fashion that the reservoir distributed its bountiful waters through 74 irrigation canals for the welfare of the people.
That's a truly profound connection, linking the physical infrastructure to spiritual dissemination.
Isn't it? Both providing sustenance, well-being. And Kalki tells us, with that characteristic foresight, that these monastic seats would be established later, confirming the vision's prophetic nature within the story. It just leaves you thinking about the layers, how the practical and sacred intertwine in this grand design.
So, after this incredibly profound experience at the temple, witnessing such devotion, absorbing this deep history, Vandiyathevan's view of Avurkaya Nampi has clearly shifted, dramatically. He's no longer just the annoying pest. He's seen this completely different side. How does Vandiyathevan express this change? And how does Avurkaya Nampi, ever the pragmatist, respond?
It's a wonderful moment of genuine growth for Vandiyathevan. He's humbled. He lets his guard down and expresses sincere regret. He says, "Sir, Mr. Nambi, I did not realize that you were such a devout and learned person. If I had annoyed you with my impudence, please forgive me."
A real apology from our proud hero.
A significant concession. And Avurkaya Nampi, true to form, accepts it succinctly, but immediately pivots. "I forgive you, Thambi. Say, will you now do me a favor?"
Straight back to business.
Exactly. Highlights the newfound respect, but also the immediate no-nonsense nature of their unusual relationship. Forgiveness granted, but instantly followed by another request. His strategic mind is always working.
And what is this final pivotal request? This is the one that shifts gears completely, setting up the next intriguing part of Vandiyathevan's adventure. Whom does Avurkaya Nampi ask him to deliver a note to? And what's Vandiyathevan's initial, very strong reaction? It sounds like a risky task.
This request is a major plot twist. Injects intrigue, mystery. Avurkaya Nampi, cool as ever, asks Vandiyathevan to deliver a small note.
Okay, a note.
And then the shocker, he specifies the recipient, is the lady who was in the closed palanquin behind Lord Pasluvor's elephant at Kadambur Fort.
Whoa. The Pasluvor Lord's entourage again? A mysterious lady? Red flags immediately.
Big time. Vandiyathevan's reaction is instant, fiery outrage. He exclaims indignantly, "Mr. Nambi, whom do you take me to be? Am I the fellow for such activities? If anyone but you had uttered such words to me."
His honor is definitely pricked there.
Absolutely. His outburst shows his strong code of honor. He immediately assumes it's some shady, maybe romantic or illicit errand. He's a warrior, not some go-between for secret messages to mysterious women. It feels insulting, potentially scandalous.
But despite this really strong, indignant reaction, Avurkaya Nampi, with his quiet cunning, somehow manages to persuade Vandiyathevan to do it anyway. How does he pull that off? What's his secret?
This is where Avurkaya Nampi shows his mastery of subtle persuasion. He understands people. He doesn't command, doesn't plead, doesn't get angry back. He just calmly advises Vandiyathevan, very measured. Don't be agitated. If it is not possible, you can let it be. Go your way.
Giving him an out? Diffusing the anger?
Exactly. Removes the pressure.
Yeah.
Then the subtle but powerful incentive. However, if you help me in this matter, my help might be useful to you at some later time.
Ah, implying future benefit. A strategic alliance.
Precisely. An investment for later gain, appealing to Vandiyathevan's ambition. And finally, he downplays the risk, almost casually adds, "There is no harm done, you can go."
Making it seem like no big deal.
This pragmatic appeal, combined with the huge shift in Vandiyathevan's opinion of him, that newfound respect, it's enough. It seals the deal. It's a testament to Avurkaya Nampi's psychological smarts, turning a flat refusal into acceptance, leveraging their new odd bond.
And with that, our deep dive reaches Vandiyathevan's departure. He is now propelled not just by his own journey, but by this mysterious mission. He's not just a traveler anymore. He's carrying a secret.
Precisely. The moment the deal is struck, Vandiyathevan did not tarry any longer. He acts decisively, jumps on his horse, sends it galloping towards Kadambur. The hero, initially annoyed, insulted, reluctant, is now driven by a mysterious, intriguing, potentially dangerous mission to this high-stakes gathering.
Wow.
The stage is perfectly set for the next thrilling chapter. A roadside scuffle has somehow transformed into a secret assignment involving a mysterious lady and the heart of Chola political intrigue. Kalki just leaves us hanging, eager to see what's in that note and what happens next.
What an incredible journey we've taken, just through one chapter of Kalki's Ponniyin Selvan. From a simple roadside spat over a horse to this profound spiritual moment at the Vinnagara Temple that shaped future history, and ending with a secret assignment at a formidable fort. It's a masterclass in storytelling, isn't it? Every small thread woven into this huge, breathtaking tapestry.
Author Kalki truly excels at that, showing how seemingly trivial things, the horse mischief, meeting this persistent Vaishnava can lead to events of immense significance. We've seen how he weaves personal encounters, grand history, deep spiritual insights, ensuring every detail adds richness and complexity. That foresight about the future lineage from the temple visit, just stunning, shows the layers in his work.
And as you reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider this. How often do the seemingly random encounters or unexpected detours in your own life end up leading you to profound insights, or set you on a completely new path you never saw coming? It often seems to be in those unscripted moments that destiny kind of nudges us forward, doesn't it?
That's a great point. Think about those times when your assumptions about someone or something just got turned upside down, like Vandiyathevan's view of Nampi. What trivial incidents from your past might, if you look back, actually reveal themselves as key starting points for significant chapters in your own story, even if they felt like nothing at the time? How do those small, maybe unacknowledged moments quietly steer the course of your own personal narrative?